Putting the spotlight on local businesses in the capital city. This is 402 Business Insider with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish on 1499.3 KLIN.
Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska, and beyond. This is the 402 Business Insider, sponsored by Baer Law and Lincoln Airport, which is, they've got some great new flights coming, which is great.
They are moving and shaking.
They are. I'm Gary Tharnish with Home Design Real Estate Group, and Travis is gone. So the great news with that is that we have major upgrade. His beautiful, lovely wife, Shannon Filing, with Transformation Marketing, is with us today. Shannon, how are you?
Good. I just talked to Travis, and his flight was majorly delayed, and so now he's driving to the game from Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I bet he's listening.
We were talking a couple weeks ago about what his favorite snack is when he's road tripping. I can't remember what it was, but I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Anyway.
I would fail the game if you asked me. I'm like, what is it?
Okay, I'm not going to ask you then. And then he'll probably stop and get a sandwich. There's no D in his sandwich. Yeah. I'm always like, what? I remember the first time we talked, I'm like, what is a sandwich?
I know.
I'm like, oh, sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah. I love it, though, that he travels and have fun. And Shannon and I, we go way back.
100%.
I mean, Shannon worked for me when she was in high school, and it was an awesome experience.
You saw me grow up.
Maybe not so much for her. I don't know. But anyway.
If I could turn back the hands of time, that was just excellent. So.
Yeah, I loved it too. You were awesome. Whole group was. So our first segment here, we usually talk about business successes or business in the news. What do we got? What do we got today?
Well, first off, I'll bring Brett, our guest, into it because he might want to weigh in, and you're welcome to do so. So this is Brett Gulbrandson. I practiced it in the break. Owner of Baer Furniture in York, Nebraska, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Brett for 2 years. Probably 3 years.
3 years.
It's been great.
Nice.
Amazing business owner. So I'm excited to have him here. So feel free to weigh in on our business in the news. And I loved the article that Travis put on my week. It's business success isn't about great ideas, capital, or timing. Here's what actually matters. And someone might say, gosh, isn't it about timing and capital and all of that stuff, which it does weigh in. But I love the breakdown or the aspect of it's so much more than that. So one takeaway from the article is relationships beat capital and timing. And I see that so true is relational businesses. And we've seen that grow. And there's other takeaways we'll talk about. But, yes, we need capital. Sometimes timing decisions, we'll talk about that too, but relationships drive so much. We talk about that with networking.
With everything.
I mean, you can show up to a meeting every week or every month, whatever your networking is, but if you don't build the relationships that refer business or grow your business or relationships that have access to stuff like your banking relation, your lending relation, your vendor relations, all of those things are just amazing.
Real relations, period. I mean, for example, I'll get the question a lot of times from other realtors when we're chatting, and they'll say, like, what's the most important thing in real estate, that I need to make sure I'm aware of as a real estate agent, And I go, you need to be likable and memorable. And they'll be like, well, but on real estate, like, what's the most important thing, for real estate so I can be successful, And I go, you need to be likable and memorable. And they go, well, what is that? I go, I'm not going to trust you if I don't like you or if you're memorable for the wrong reasons, right? So I first have to like you before I'm going to have a relationship with you. You need to be friendly and open and talk to people. And I mean, my 2 sales I have right now, one was from a lady that I had no idea who she was. I was walking down the grocery aisle. Tom went the other way. I saw her frustrating with this bag, trying to figure out how to get the coffee in the bag at Super Saver. So I walk up right behind her and I go, put those bags down. They're not for customers to touch. And she turns around, she goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I go, do you need some help there? And she goes, well, I just thought I could pick up the bag. I go, lady, I don't work here. And she goes, what? And she hits me over the head with the bag. And then we have this 10-minute conversation finding out that she had just put her mom in assisted living. She was kind of depressed. I had her laughing when she was done and sold her mom's house. So you have to, be like, I'm not suggesting you go to
you harass people randomly.
Brett, don't throw furniture at people or say, get up out of that chair. But,
You did that. I had the exact same experience. I had to get my window replaced. And I'm in this itty bitty. It's an office made into a waiting room. It was whatever. And they had the biggest vending machine ever. And the guy comes in and he opens it and he gets his little snack out. So I know he works there. And I said, excuse me, did you just steal that? And he was like all taken back. And I'm like, I've got eyes on you. And if I need to tell the front desk ladies that you are heisting your snaky snacks. And he goes out of the room and he goes, hey, we got an unruly patron in here. And so it was just this whole big thing, but we just had fun in taking those moments. But I would say that trust, you want to work with people that you like, but then followed right behind that, you have to bring value. You have to bring value behind that. So
yeah, you have to bring everything that will make you memorable.
Yeah,
that's my thing, right? I'm reading a great book now, and it's all about hospitality. It actually is about a restaurant and chef business and everything, but it translates into every other business. At the end of the day, it's that you are memorable, right? And what makes you memorable? All of those things, right? That they're confident that you know your product and what you're talking about. They're confident that you're going to take them through the end of the transaction properly, fairly. You're a decent person. They like you. All those other things will come. The money, everything else comes with that.
Yeah. So number 2, as you know, it relates right into that, is buyers don't only buy products, they buy people. Brett, you've seen that, I'm sure. Being a small community of York, you have any thoughts on that, buying people over products in particular?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. As a customer, they can probably go to 5, 6, 7 different places and buy the exact same product. They come to you and they shop with you because they enjoy you, they enjoy your staff, enjoy the atmosphere your store creates, because they have options to get product. It really does come down to you being who they enjoy shopping with.
Yeah, I mean, that probably stands no truer than just in the last 10 years. If you've seen that even in your business, product can be bought now online. Like, we have more access to products in general, be it the exact same or just in general. I can't imagine buying a sofa online, but people do it. Like, I want to sit in it, I want to, pick my fabric and all the things that Brett does. We want to have that experience of customization. We want to have all of that stuff, but you have people come in all the time, and now he has his 2 young daughters make appearances in the store, and they love that his daughters are in the store. It's the experience. It's local. It's local.
And it's family.
Yeah, it's family owned. Yeah.
And it's family. Clients can, of course, in real estate, it's very personal, right? Because you're helping somebody buy, their next castle. And, but you become almost like part of that family. When you can do that, you become memorable, right? And it's that way with there's places in town I shop that I'd be a lot easier for me to just tap on Amazon, order it, and have it delivered to me, usually within 24 hours. But I'd rather go to the store because of the experience. I want to support the person. I know them. They've become like family. That's another part. I would think with it's Baer Furniture, right? Pronounced Baer?
Yes.
And then spelled WWETHIY or whatever it was. It's BAER?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like Baer, like the bear that's going to attack you.
Yeah.
So Baer Furniture. So it's been around 100 and some years, right?
Yeah.
If I remember
coming
correctly.
up on 150 in a couple years.
Okay, so you bought a legacy business. So it's there for all the right reasons. No furniture store would be there for that long if they weren't doing all the things right. And it is about the relationship and not having a bad partner. That's another thing too.
Yeah.
Do you own it? Or do you have a partner? Is it just you? Or?
My family. So
your family
me,
has
my
it.
wife, and
there you go.
the 2 daughters.
So it's a family business. See, there's something sweet about that in America, right?
I can't even imagine what it's like. I obviously have worked with businesses that have a business partner, which would be great if you have different skill sets you could bring to the table. I just can't wrap my head around it because it hasn't been my personal experience in that. Yeah, that it's either been me or me and Travis, and so we make those decisions. It would be a whole different experience being able to articulate your desires, your dreams, your vision for the business, and have it match to an unmarried partner, in my experience. It happens more times than not. It's just not been my experience.
And in the business, Travis isn't really your partner. He's more of a robot that you put a thumb drive in and he gets a to-do list and he goes and he does it.
Let's just say,
Hi, Travis.
Hello, Travis. He's become very good at allowing me to do what I want to do. Like most people are like, I could never work with my spouse, or how do you know roles? He goes, she owns the business. She makes the decision, and he loves handing that back to me sometimes.
Yeah. Well, but that is also who you are and what you do best, right? I mean, Travis is a salesman.
Yeah.
And he's great at it. He's
Yeah.
very good at it, you know? And
he's also big picture. He's not a detailed, in some regards, yes, but in a lot of ways, he'll come up with an idea, or he's very creative with strategy, those sorts of things. But then April and I are like, okay, what can we do to make this come to be? You know, so it's roles and strengths are always brought to the table. So
something else I loved in this prep as I was looking through it and doing my show prep, which I actually did this week. I do get a gold star. I probably only have one in 2 years, but anyway,
glad it was my week.
I know, right? I'm prepared. Be careful here. So buyers don't really buy products, right? They buy people. It's what we're talking about. And it's so true. That's very true with furniture. So I don't want to tell you this, but I will. So I moved recently and bought furniture. And I'm not going to say where I bought it from, but I almost walked out of where I bought it from. And it's a legacy company. And And literally, it was because of the people had nothing to do with the furniture. I just had stale sales reps that came up that were just like, you know, I felt like, did you memorize that line? And when they were done, I'm like, well, hi, I'm Gary. Like, we didn't even start there. Like, did you even ask me if I needed furniture? It was weird. And all of a sudden I hear this, hey, dirty chai. I'm like, oh, that's weird, you know? And then I realized this lady is walking up to me and she's saying to me, hey, dirty chai. And I'm like, well, I took a shower. It ended up being a gal that remembered me. She worked at a coffee shop I frequented 7 years ago. She's maybe late 20s. And she comes up and she's like, Gary, how are you? And I'm like, looking at her going, oh my God, hi, how are you? Who are you? That's what I'm thinking,
incredible.
Right? But as we end up having the conversation, she goes, you always ordered a dirty chai latte. That was my drink.
That's crazy.
So by the time I was done buying my furniture, everybody's like, and then the lady that's helping deliver, she goes, dirty chai, when that because so I guess I'm like known as dirty chai there. But it ended
or
up.
you will be forever.
It ended up being memorable.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
That's what makes the difference. And if I order something on Amazon and I have to send it back, am I ever going to be able to talk to someone? No. I'm going to have to do it all online. It is a nightmare. I have something I have to send back now, which is just like a bed sheet that didn't fit. And I'm like, my fault. By the way, you know, I should never order online. I mean, it's like, I ordered a twin size bed sheet let's just start there, for a king bed. It just doesn't work. So anyway.
The price was so much more alluring than the
Well, the quickness. It was just the quickness. It's like, okay, we got the new guest bed, need to get it covered. It was just the quickness. Anyway, long story short, returning it is like, should be so easy, but now I got to box it up. I'm
doing that today too.
There's just nothing, it's like, and, I love, like, with this furniture, for example, which I'm sure is the same with your company, it's like they want to make sure I'm satisfied, and that's going to make it memorable. And that's why your company's been around 150 years, I'm sure.
Well, we're taking over that responsibility and keeping it going. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you Brett stepped into that in a major way, but we'll talk about how he's done that.
I know. So. And we're going to take a break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to get into all about you, Brett, instead of us and all this chatting and everything. But I want to give a quick thanks to our sponsor, Sartor Heyman Jewelers. They've been a trusted name in Lincoln for generations, helping families mark life's biggest moments with quality, craftsmanship, and personal service, which I can attest to. I've purchased jewelry there. It is Lincoln's most trusted jeweler for life's most meaningful moments. Downtown, 12th and O, and they're also in South Point Pavilions, right? And then online at sartorheyman.com. Yep. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. I'm Gary Tharnish with Shannon Filing today instead of Travis, and we're talking with Brett Gulbrandson.
We've got 90 minutes to get this right.
Gulbrandson, blah, of Baer Furniture. We'll be back right after this break. He may not.
Stories of local success. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
Hey, you're listening to the 402 Business Insider. This segment sponsored by Red Rhino Roofing and Mendoza Family Insurance. And thanks for sticking with us through the break. If you are just tuning in this right now, today our guest is Brett Gulbrandson of Baer Furniture in York. And it's been a pleasure just chatting with you, Brett, so far and kind of getting to know you. And this will be a fun show.
Yeah. I mean, just so much to unpack there. I love that it's a rural business. I love that it's a family-owned business. But let's ask, you have owned this legacy business for how many years?
For 4 years.
4 years. And then so why did you at this point decide I want to be a business owner? Why purchase this business? Walk us through all of that.
Yeah, well, so I was working in the furniture industry. And the previous owners, they had ran this store for 39 years, and they were looking to retire. After 39 years, I'm sure they were more than ready to retire. And I was actually really good friends and grew up with their son. And so he actually called me one day and said, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you. My parents want to retire." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me talk to the wife." Can't make a decision without her.
Right.
So I went home that night, mentioned it to her. We talked about it for probably all of about 1 minute and knew it was what we wanted to do.
Really?
Oh, sweet.
Obviously the conversation then went, we talked a lot. But I think from just the very beginning, we both were like, yes, let's do it,
Well, that's a blessing right there.
Yes. So we were on the same page from, the beginning. And then obviously, I was born and raised in York, so I'm a York native. So the opportunity to take over a business, be a business owner, and then serve the community was really, just something that I couldn't pass up the opportunity. It gave me the chance to, again, I think the biggest thing for me was just to give back and serve the community of York, knowing that obviously the community as a whole gave a lot to me. It basically raised me. I grew up there. And that's pretty much how it came. I mean, and it came about pretty quickly from the day that I got that phone call to, obviously I did have to get together some business plans and talk to the banks and get the finances lined up. And it all happened fairly quickly from there. So,
I was going to ask you, why this business? What stood out to you? But just having bought a legacy business myself, and I would think something that might have stuck out. Well, obviously you knew the son, so that's a big thing too. But the joy of buying a legacy business, when you go into a bank to get some funding, you've got a track record, you've got sales records, you have a lot of things that can help you. Whereas if you would go into the bank and say, "Hey, I'm going to start a furniture business."
100%.
Small town in Aurora, they're probably going to go, "Really? Because Baer Furniture's down the street. They've been here 135 years. Are you sure you want to do that?" Did you find that really helpful when you went to the bank?
Yeah, it definitely did. And then obviously the owners at that time having the connections they did. And also just like you asked, why did I want to pick that business? Because I knew the previous owners. I knew how well they ran it, how good their reputation was, and I was happy to be able to, in a sense, take on that challenge.
Sure.
To be able to transition and give the community just as good of service and and support the community in a sense just like they did. So
yeah, right.
So when you bought the business, I mean, working in the industry is a little bit different than going through all of the financials. Go, well, what is this offer? What's going to be my earnings afterwards? What do I need to finance? How was that process, just working through that?
Yeah, I mean, it was... Luckily, I like to think of myself as the big picture type person. I like knowing everything, and, before I took over this store, I was an employee for 20 plus years.
Oh my God!
And
you
I
look like
always
you're 30.
Yeah.
No.
Jeez. Okay.
But so I think being an employee, for obviously having that side of it, but I've always been that employee that I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
You know, if I worked in this department, I wanted to know also kind of what they did over there or what they did, and just learning everything about it. So I felt like it was just natural fit for me then to actually be in a role where I had to know everything. And the interest of knowing how everything works together and, making decisions not just off of what I do, but knowing the whole big picture.
Yeah, Shannon's going to take us to a break in a minute, but before we go there really quick, one thing I would say about that you commented on that I think is so important for anybody out there, whether you own a business, think of owning a business someday or wherever you're working now, and then especially for the business owner, is always remember that knowledge is power. And the more information you share with your employees, the better. Sometimes as business owners, we want to keep the things secret, like financial challenges or whatever, and then it's going to seep out to your employees because they're dealing with you every day. It just those types of things are like you were saying, like we'd have a delivery guy. I'd make sure they know what we're doing, so everybody could tie together. I think that's a great trick. Shannon, take us to a break.
Yeah, so this break is sponsored the Cabin Virtual Golf Club. I know that intimately. Funny story is the Cabin is an amazing golfing facility. Shannon Filing does not golf, but I love the facility. I love what it does. Brings people together. Great for business golfing. So 1,000 square foot private access, and you can golf 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So check out the Cabin.
Business Insider, Gary Tharnish, Shannon Filing. We're talking with Brett Gulbrandson of Baer Furniture in York, and we'll have more with him right after this break.
Building business, one story at a time. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
We're back on the 402 Business Insider. Gary Tharnish and Shannon Filing, the better half of Travis. And we're talking with Brett Gulbrandson of Baer Furniture out of York today. This segment's sponsored by the Western National Bank. And it's time for our 5 takeaways. And this is where we get 5 things our listeners can apply to their business today. It's sponsored by Nebraska Farmers Network. And what's the first piece of knowledge you have now that you wish someone gave you the day you started, Brett?
Ooh, that's a good question, Travis.
What's
Filing.
the first piece of knowledge you have now that you wish someone gave you the day you started? It's a tough question.
Wow, yeah, that is.
It is.
Yeah.
That is a tough question.
Narrow it down from the 20.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's so many things that you learn on the fly as a business owner. But I think maybe trusting your own intuition or your own decisions sooner. I think,
sure.
Again, I mentioned, I went from being employee to owner.
Yep.
So I think if I could have trusted my own self more, quicker,
Sure.
and making those decisions and not being afraid to just make it my own in a sense.
Right.
And I guess make sure that it comes across as mine.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Sure. And not
I
just
think
a
that would
copy.
be.
Yeah, and that's a challenge. I mean, when you work for someone else, you don't have to, you follow orders, so to speak, right? Now, you may be in a larger company where you run a team or whatever it might be, but still at the end of the day, the buck doesn't stop on your desk. And when it stops on your desk, there's part of that, Brett, that might not be bad, where you did take a little bit of time to think about it. I'm thinking of a new business owner I know now that makes a whole lot of decisions on the fly with his gut that he thinks is going to be really great. And so often it's like, oh, dude, you needed 10 more minutes to think about that answer because it's wrong and now it's too late. So part of that's probably okay, but I totally get what you're saying. I experienced that too. You probably did too when you opened up. Yeah,
trusting, especially if you're coming off of what you might have felt is a bad decision, not that this is, then retrusting yourself that, But I was thinking about this with the show when we didn't talk about this in the first segment, but decision making is a muscle. It's a skill set. And Colin Powell is, you want to be timely over perfect. And his experience says if you make a decision with 40 to 70% of the information, you need to rely on your experience and your gut more. Because if you wait for 100% perfection, your timing will be off.
Oh, yeah.
So, or your gut. Those sorts of things. I thought that was just very interesting. So when we talk about that, going, how do you trust yourself? If you feel like you've evaluated 40 to 70% of the data, let your gut and experience deliver the rest of. Because, and then you look at John Maxwell goes, the law of momentum. If, say, you make a decision that doesn't turn out the way that you had hoped, you still have forward momentum. You can course correct, or you will learn things in that decision that will help you make a chain decision better. So I think that's just fantastic, leaning into the gut and experience.
Yeah. Another thing I learned that I do, and I learned along the way, is that I wanted all of my customers, and now I would say all of my clients with what I'm doing now, to have a memorable experience. So when I had to make a decision on the fly or make it fairly quickly, and I maybe only had 40 or 70% of the decision, my focus would be, is my decision and what I'm going to say now definitely going to enhance the client experience to make it more memorable or not? If not, I'm going to take just a little more time. But my goal is always that. So I think as long as you keep your mindset that, like, I love how when you were talking about why you bought the business, it was big that you were like, I want to serve the community. That makes you memorable. If you keep that as a focus when you have to make a quick decision, it'll help. It sounds weird when the decision might be, hey, this chair fell off the truck and they ran over it and this lady's expecting it tomorrow. What are we going to do? But I mean, you want to make it memorable. So
I think that's a great takeaway, is trusting our gut, because we're in it. What would be a takeaway too that our listeners could take away from your experience?
Yeah, I know, so I took over January 2022, and I feel like I gave myself 2022 to learn the business, really, like you kind of talked about, like, get the input, really, let's see how things are going. I also was fortunate enough to have, I shadowed with the previous owner. So him and I worked for 2 months, so that would be another thing. If you're looking to take over a legacy business, please put that in the contract.
Oh, that's
that
right.
You will have the current owner help you, kind of mentor you for a certain amount of time, because I was lucky enough, obviously, we were good family friends, and they've known me since I was young, so obviously they wanted me to succeed and they want to help me.
Sure.
But I was lucky enough, and I think that was probably the best decision I made, was having that transition period where the previous owner and I, we basically worked side by side the whole day.
Well, and for
whether
you,
it
that would
was
be
customer
great.
facing and helping customers, or on the back end, doing payroll, doing the books, ordering more furniture,
dealing with vendors,
and we just worked all day long, just whatever. And it was a slow transition where he then would kind of take a step back and go, okay, well, I did it last week, now this is your week to do it, So just being able to have that transition was huge.
Well, and you mentioned even the optics forward facing this is a sought after transition, especially in a community and a legacy business. I'm trusting Brett to take over my business. And as the community I want you to now trust Brett as your new furniture guy.
Right.
So that was really good for not only the transition for you, but for the community at large.
And the second takeaway can simply be change slowly and be very intentional. And that's very intentional. You had him work on for a couple of months, and your decisions from that point became intentional, right? Because in a legacy business, it's already successful. I mean, assuming the company was successful, you buy it. If you are going to make change, and you will, because it's you, and you're going to be different than the previous owner. But what about the previous owner was real successful? What made him successful? And then if you are going to make a change, be intentional. So the second takeaway can definitely be change slowly and be intentional.
Yeah, so I made sure I didn't go in there and just blow the system up.
Yeah,
you know?
good. Because that would not be good.
I gave myself time to really get to know and get the experience of running the store, how it was being ran.
Yeah.
And then in 2023, I feel like is when then I took a little bit more of that initiative. Okay.
Yeah.
So I reflected on the year.
Yeah.
Kind of then set those goals of what I felt needed to change quickly, or first. And just kind of set those little goals in motion of how I'd like it to become more my business.
Yeah.
Instead of just Baer's Furniture.
Right. You want it to be seamless, right? You don't want people walking around New York going, oh, remember Baer Furniture? It used to be so cool, right? Like, that's what you don't want. We know what we don't want. And so with that in mind, the third takeaway can be that local relationships still matter and really matter. I would think especially in a you're going to have almost 150th anniversary soon, right? The company?
Yeah. We're a couple years away from that, yeah.
So that's really important, right? I mean, I think that would be a good takeaway for the third one, that your local relationships still matter.
And it definitely does. I still have customers that come in and they tell me stories about the previous owners, whether it was the last one who ran it for 39 years or even before that.
Sure.
The last Baer who ran the,
Yeah.
I remember when my husband and we bought our first sofa together and it was from, Mr. Baer. Like,
I love that.
And that just shows the lasting relationship that people remember it,
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy furniture, because it is a big purchase. It's in your home, and it gives that lasting memory of when you go in and buy that first sofa or your first, mattress, or, that you buy together as a couple, or maybe you got your first apartment. And that's what's fun about working with the customers.
Yeah. And, so the company itself already has all these relationships, right? We bought our first sofa, when we got back from our honeymoon 50 years ago, whatever it might. So the relationship's already developed. Now, as buying a legacy business, you're going to walk alongside that relationship. You're going to create a new relationship, but really you're just enhancing one that was already there. And in my mind, buying a legacy business, that's the key. You don't want to, bring that relationship back or make it less memorable. You want to walk alongside of them, and then you're going to develop, 10, 15, 20 years from now, they're going to be like, I bought my first couch from Brett, and now the kids moved out of the house. It's empty nest, and we're going to get rid of the couch, and we're going to get a bunch of bean bags and have fun, and 4 TVs, and whatever it might be.
Dovetailing off of that too, probably a more practical business. We talked a lot about relationships and all of that, but you, because I've known Brett for a while now, you had to make some adjustments on your strategy around your inventory. How were you going to wrap your head around that? Your sales cycles and all of that. So talk about how you managed learning what worked and learning what will work going forward.
Yeah, I think obviously with furniture, you've got your tried and true, your traditional, but there's also an element of style, trends.
Trends, yep.
So I do have to be flexible. I also have to make that decision of when something maybe needs to be clearanced out and just moved on.
Right.
And I get that from really taking information from a lot of different things. I am lucky enough that I work right in the store. I talk to my customers. I get feedback off of them when they're shopping.
There you go.
If
Exactly.
I have that sofa that not a single person has sat on, even if they've never told me or I haven't had a person tell me, ooh. But if nobody's ever sat on it, I can use that information and be like, well, nobody's even sat on that, so probably needs to get it moved on.
I would also think you'd have to have inventory that's generational, right? Like my mom, who's from the silent generation, the 30s, she's in her 90s, she's going to want something way different than my daughter, who's 26.
Yes.
And then I'm in between, although that little recliner that shoots your body right up out of it looked really good when I injured my back 10 weeks ago.
Yes.
Lift recliner.
And now it's like, hey, help me get up out of the chair. But inventory is so vital. vitally important, right? I mean, you don't want people walking in going, oh, this store's become very stiff and stale. But at the same time, you can't have everything new, because what's stiff and stale to one is going to be something that they love and want to another. So I would think inventory control in your case would be huge. And I can remember from having the flower shop and now being in a real estate business where builders are really good with this, right? They'll want to hire an interior designer who's like, this is a later Pantone color, the latest thing, and this is the latest in furniture, and this is the latest whenever, and 4 months later, like, oh, this house isn't selling, and it's like, okay, because it doesn't look like I can sit on that furniture. It looks like it's a piece of art, and I'm going to blow up if I sit on it, and or it's uncomfortable or whatever. So that, I think that would be like, that's something where you would really learn from the previous owner, I would think, too, of how you manage inventory. I think that's a good takeaway for any legacy business that you buy, or any business in general.
Knowing your customer and what they want. That's what is listening. So
yep, and I think that's why it's so important that I am customer facing. You know, I do interact with my customer. I also do my own deliveries, so you know, I get to help them up front, but then I also get to help when it's in the house. I get to see the final, you know, product placement in a sense, like in the home. You know, there's a combination of going with your instincts of what you like. Obviously, my wife helps me pick out stuff, and we go to Furniture Market together, and I get her input. And it's just, there's so many variables that I have to take in consideration that I can't be afraid to shift. Also, you know, I have to. I've made a bad decision, and I have to realize it and realize it and call myself out on. Okay, that wasn't a very good one.
Yeah,
let's clearance that out. Let's get in something new.
Sure.
You know, so that's I think important. You can't be afraid to admit maybe you made a mistake and then learn from it.
Can we talk? Since I do have a little inside baseball, one takeaway that I think is interesting is two-part, is your strategy when you go to market has changed over first year to now. And the second is the interaction you had with one of your vendor reps recently. Yeah. I loved that. Will you tell that story?
Yeah, so with furniture, you have reps that they're the employee or, you know, the rep of the manufacturer. And he came in the other day. I won't say manufacturer or anything, but he came in and he said, "Hey, Brett, you've got to get this new sofa on the floor. It's blowing up. It's getting hot. Everybody wants it." And so I said, "Okay, great. Then tell me which one of your sofas to take off the floor."
I thought it was brilliant. Very brilliant.
And because obviously as manufacturer reps, they want me to place all their products on the floor.
Correct. That's a good I love that.
But I will, my hat's off to him though, because then he did tell me, okay, well, let's look at your current lineup. And then he did give me a suggestion of which one I should take off the floor to then bring in the new one.
I love it. This last year, our CEO challenged all of us at the beginning of the year in 2025 that said, when you're doing your to-do list this week, I want you to do your not to-do list as well. I want you to take 3 things off that you do every day that sucks up your time, that doesn't benefit you, your life, your business, your family, whatever, and take 3 things off as well. Kind of the same type thing. Like, you want more of my furniture on? What am I going to take away to put that? Because I'm not giving you more square footage of your inventory, right?
Because you only have so much square footage.
Yes,
so
I am very limited in my showroom square footage.
You know, with our discussion that we've had so far, our last 5th takeaway can be, and we'll have to go to a break, so we have a lot of time with it, but we've kind of touched base on it, is culture carries over, right? And so whether you manage it or not, your employees are going to feel ownership of legacy businesses. Clients, in a way, are going to kind of feel ownership of it. Like, I've got generational furniture I bought through our whole family, right? Like you said, somebody came in and, hey, the Bears, one of the Baer family members sold me my first piece of furniture. I mean, that stuff becomes important. So hanging on to the culture, it sounds like you've done a great job of that. That's a good 5th takeaway if you're buying a legacy business. Hang on to the culture. It matters.
Yep, and I'd say I'm super lucky to have the employees that I do.
Yeah.
You know, we are a small scale business, so I don't have tons of employees. I don't have to manage huge teams of people. But I do have sales staff. I have delivery staff. And I'm lucky to have some great people that also, like you said, take the ownership and understand they are part of something bigger than, just us.
And
it's about the community and the reputation of the store.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to head to a break here. 5 Takeaways has been sponsored by the Nebraska Farmers Network. We want to thank Nebraska Farmers Network for sponsoring the show. Nebraska Farmers Network exists to support Nebraska farmers and ranchers through education, advocacy, and connection. It's about strengthening agriculture in the communities that depend on it and keeping Nebraska farms Nebraska-owned. To learn more, go to nebraskafarmersnetwork.com. We'd also like to thank the UPS Store for sponsoring the show. Online, theupsstore.com. They're all over town. They do a lot more than just shipping packages.
Yes.
You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. I'm Gary Tharnish with Shannon Filing this morning, and we're talking with Brett Gulbrandson. Oh my gosh, I'm going to murder everybody's name that's ever on the show.
We got the last name,
we're
and
talking
now
to this guy named Brett,
first.
and he owns Baer Furniture in York. So stick with us through the break, please.
Lincoln's entrepreneurs, one conversation at a time. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
Thanks for sticking with us. This is Shannon Filing in for Travis Filing with Gary Tharnish here at the 402 Business Insider. We want to thank a business sponsor of ours, Integrated Behavioral Health. And we're talking today with Brett Gulbrandson. Bet Furniture. We're just tag teaming the murdering of his name. We are literally tag teaming it.
I love it.
From Baer Furniture. And this segment is the unexpected impact. Business is full of surprises, some good and not some so much sometimes. But we talk about all the things here at the 402 Business Insider because that's what the show is about. Learning and support, right?
Businesses, you have that all the time.
Exactly. So, unexpected impact. Knowing Brett over the last 2-3 years, he has really taken the business in a lot of different directions that have been so beneficial using technology. So talk about that with us in this segment, your unexpected impact and the changes you've made.
Yeah, I think, obviously, Shannon, you know how much fun it has been for me and very time-consuming, but, being able to update the website, make sure the website can actually serve as an arm of the store, giving the customer the ability to search and get some ideas. That has been huge. And then also just being able to meet the customer where they are. We do text messages at the store. We obviously call. We, of course, work with people in person. We have people that shop online. We have the ability to direct ship to customers, even if they're not within our local delivery range. I have customers, I can remember one specific lady, she lived in Michigan. She needed a bedpost that was part of a bed set that she had bought on clearance at another store in Michigan. She searched online. She found it on our website. She called me, and I was able to help her, make sure she was getting the right part that she needed. I shipped it, we shipped it out to her, and she was so thankful because nobody locally was even willing to work with her and get her the part. And, some of that, I'm sure the staff that she talked to at those other stores, they didn't know enough about it where, I do part orders, repairs, deliveries, sales. I do all aspects of the furniture business. So I knew how to help her.
And when you text off your website or web chat, you are actually chatting with Brett.
Yeah, yep, it does.
I
actually,
love that.
It gets
That's
sent.
cool.
Yeah, so we do have the text ability on the website. That you can ask questions, and that does come to us, real people. It's not AI. It's not outsourced to somebody sitting in another
Yeah.
country. You are
Yeah.
dealing with real people, my staff or myself. And I just think taking the technology that's available and being able to use it to serve the customers how they want to be served. Some people do want text messages and have it in written. Some people want the phone call. Some people want to come into the store and sit next to you on the sofa as you're looking at stuff on the iPad.
Love it.
It's just such a combination where you have to be willing to provide that to all your customers. And again, I see it as meet them where they are.
There you go. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to meet people where they are. One thing I'll say about retail stores of any sort that have a web page. So if you're a business owner and you have a web page, this is what's important to me, and I'm a consumer, is if I go to your webpage and you have a visual product, I want to see it. I want it to be like I'm walking into your store. I don't want the page to pop up with tons of information, store hours, those things are important. But I want to go, okay, I'm buying furniture. I want to see it. I want to see furniture. I want your webpage to be like, I'm walking into your business. Maybe I can walk through it and there's a little video or something, but I want it to be that. I would always say when I had the flower shop, it'd be like, people want to call up our webpage and see our hours that we deliver, all the wonderful things we do that are associated with, but they're buying an experience and an emotion, and they need to see that. So I love that you update your webpage to do that. It's important.
And his webpage, because I spend a lot of time on it, is very e-commerce centered, but how they utilize their social media is
nice,
really amazing. And I know I speak as if Brett's not here, shares that responsibility with your staff, and it's very personal. Like, what the store's like, you're seeing the product that's being promoted. Talk about your countdown to Christmas and some of that feedback that you did online. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, so I think the best part about the social media is it not just being me, but it is from my staff, because obviously the staff spend time at the store. They know the product. They work with the customers. So it is important to have the staff involved with the social media posts, because one, it gives a little bit of a different personality from each staff member that maybe makes that post, or
Sure.
It kind of gives them that. But then it also, my staff actually came up with the idea for the Christmas countdown, where we picked and we scheduled it all out, and again, shout out to my staff who does a great job. But we picked a different, flash sale in a sense for each day, made some fun posts online, we made some little videos, did some extra graphics, and again, it's not all me. On the Christmas countdown, it was mostly my staff member, who she did an amazing job. But just being able to have fun with the social media.
And you had people come in and reference it.
Yes,
so you know
and
that
then,
they're watching.
And then when the customers walk into the store, I saw this post last night. What's today's special?
Bingo. See, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just, and obviously marketing is important. It's important to get the messages out, but it's also kind of important to have a little fun with the social media, not just for you, but the staff, and just to get everyone involved.
And I think that's it too, is sharing that buy-in, creating a culture that you're all there for a collective stability of the company, growth of the company. Everyone's contributing their talent, time towards that. So that's phenomenal.
One of the funnest posts I did for real estate a while back, a long time ago actually, was funniest things I've seen in a house. My favorite funniest thing I saw in a house was for sale, was to go through the front door with my clients. And you didn't see this in the pictures. It was summer, and their outdoor pool was indoor in the living room.
What?
Yes, they had a pool inside their house in the living room. I have the picture on my phone if I can find it. They just had the pool in their living room. That worked well for them, I guess. I was like, we didn't tour that house. We left, but the realtor's like, did they have the pool in the house still? I'm like, yeah, you may want to talk to them about that, because we didn't go around it to look at the rest of the house.
Was it an in-ground
Pretty
pool?
much. No, it was an above-ground blow-up air pool, but it was, like a kid's pool about 2.5 feet tall. Those blue ones that are smaller.
Oh, okay. I'm sitting here going, that's
no,
when
not
you
an
go,
indoor pool. This was like a redneck indoor pool. Let's call it that. Okay, well,
that's
just
when
leave
you're
it
like,
at
decisions were made. Decisions
I
were made.
know. Well, this was a really great segment.
Goes fast, doesn't it?
Which segment are we on? Number 4, correct?
Yes,
I think
yes,
this is like
sir.
training day for Gary. We want to thank Lincoln Coin and Bullion for sponsoring the show online, and you can find them online at lincolncoinandbullion.com. That's always a real tough one for me to say as well.
Well,
obviously, I'm verbally challenged, as we know.
I'll tell you, they do an amazing job.
They do.
You can even just go see what they have in stock. It's way, way cool.
Yeah. So you're listening to the 402 Business Insider, Shannon Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Brett Gulbrandson of Baer's Furniture in York, and we'll have more right after this break.
Where Nebraska business owners tell their story. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
Hello, welcome back. You're on the 402 Business Insider. I'm Gary Tharnish. With me today is Shannon Filing, Travis's much better half. He
gets so roasted when he's gone.
He does. That's fun, though. He's out probably having a sandwich somewhere in Illinois about right now. But today we're talking with Brett Gulbrandson of Baer Furniture. And this segment is This Needs an Adjustment. It's sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic, where they make adjustments. That's my chiropractor. They do a great job, Brian and the other doctors out there. And business also is all about constant adjustment. Nothing ever works 100% according to plan. And sometimes you may need to make a big shift. Or in your case, Brett, you bought a legacy business and there were some changes that need to be made. We've been talking about how careful you need to do those. But what is one big adjustment that you made when you bought the business?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest task that I took on was taking it from a paper-based business to a computer electronic-based business.
Automatic. Wow.
And when I say paper, I'm not just meaning like the receipts for the customers.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking orders, invoices from products, all the accounting. Everything was done on paper, because again, the previous owner had ran the store for 39 years. So he had his way of doing it, and he didn't need to integrate on a computer, because when he first started, computer wasn't that big of a thing, on a day-to-day basis. There wasn't probably that. The way he did it was how everyone probably did it, and then he just never changed.
I bought my shop in '86, and it was mostly paper. I mean, we took orders by hand, stuck them on a spindle. I billed by hand
remember
later.
That.
Yeah, and then computers started in, and so it would make some sense that it was that. It was probably just how it was always done, so they didn't change it. That is a big adjustment.
It was, and it was a lot of transition, not just for the customer-facing part of it, but then also for the back-end part of it when you're talking accounting and inventory control, paying the bills, all of that stuff going from the paper to the electronics. There was a lot of data entry that was involved.
Sure.
Training the staff, which again, shout out to my staff that, took it, ground running.
Yeah.
They didn't push back or fight me against it. They were like, yeah, let's do it. And
they were probably anxious for it. And I'm thinking in my mind a little bit, because everything is so computer oriented now.
Well, and they just all rolled their sleeves up. So Brett would say, hey, this segment is yours, this segment's mine, and we'll tackle it together. And it was actually, talking about culture, a great opportunity to work together as a team. Yes,
and yes, were there moments in that process or in that transition that I questioned myself? Thought, wow, is the benefit of doing all of this work right now really worth it? But now being on the other side of the tunnel, it definitely was,
Sure.
It allows me to, serve my customers better, quicker. If they bought something and they call in saying, hey, what fabric did I get that sofa in? Because now I need a love seat to match. I can pull it up a heck of a lot quicker on the computer
Then going and finding
digging
the file
through the
in
file
the folder.
cabinets And obviously file cabinets are never perfect, so something might be out of order. You spend a lot of extra time just digging for that stuff, where now I can type in their name, pulls up their order, and I can see exactly what they purchased.
And from anywhere.
Yes.
Having that, not having to be at the store,
you can
being
do it
able
on your
to
phone.
run your business from anywhere.
Yeah, because just recently I took a trip down to Indiana and went and, toured the Sealy manufacturing plant. And while I was in my hotel room in Indiana, I was able to order product for a customer that shopped online and set up the direct ship, and even emailed that customer, letting them know that, okay, this is when you can expect your product. I was able to do that while sitting in a hotel in Indiana.
And this day and age, I think if you were still doing paper, it'd be hard even to deal with vendors in some cases. Because, by the time I sold my shop, there were certain vendors that it's like, well, you need to hop online and do that. You need to, this or that. I would think there would have been a lot of just duplicate, wow.
It's just hard to believe in just our technology-driven world. And, knowing what you'd gone through is, we talked about seasonality. You have decor that could be seasonal. So his transition into technology happened over a little over a year, because you had to do that onboarding of the technology season after season. But how much of a benefit it was during inventory, taxes, strategy.
Well, and knowledge is power, right? So if you think of that, look at all the things that's going to change. You're going to have great data for your marketing needs because it's computerized. Inventory, you can get just like that. You just imagine that sales process, people going through that process, the store experience. It's going to enhance that. You just said earlier, if I remember correctly, that some people want to sit with you on the couch and look at the iPad and go through. That's bingo. Great. People expect it this day and age, especially generationally. My mom may not, although she taught me how to deposit a check online on my phone when she was 89. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Mom. And she also introduced me to Venmo. That just is a testament that I'm not with it, actually. But anyway, that's just a lot of great stuff that change brought on. I could see, though, while you're doing it, where you might be like, oh, my Lord, is this going to be worth it? Because that's to take a business that's been around that long and a heavy inventory-based business. Not only inventory-based business, but inventory that could be changed 100 ways. We can put this material on or that material. Man, that had to be a lot of work to get
What
that
surprised
done.
you the most getting on the other side of that?
Probably just the access to the information has been the biggest benefit of it. Like I just mentioned, I took a business trip to Indiana and was still able to help customers, still able to look up stuff, communicate with the customer because of the technology and bringing it all together.
One last thing I will mention, too, is you also brought on a component where soliciting reviews becomes a routine thing, and that's partly tied into your texting situation. But we do, and he has amazing online reviews, but some of that is just, we miss those opportunities to ask, and having that technology-driven opportunity to do that has helped tremendously with that as well.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that, I feel like that was a huge change that actually was really easy.
Sure.
Because it was all automated. The company that does our text message platform, and the customers pay, then they get a text message with their receipt, and it's automated, asking them to leave us a review. So something that was so big of an impact on business-wise was actually one of the easiest things that we implemented.
Well, and you can set it and forget it, and the impact is enormous, right?
That's just working
huge. Yeah, I'm huge on reviews. I love it, and they can be funny sometimes. I always bring up one of my best customers gave us a 1-star review, but it was just beautiful. We love this place, blah, blah, blah. And it was back when Google first started doing it, and Google actually called and said, hey, do you want us to take that and change it to a 5-star? Because they gave you I said, no, leave it at 1, because we're getting calls about it.
And they read it.
Because a lot of people go to reviews and they read your worst first.
Yes. Oh, that's funny.
And
I did not know
huge
that.
for us. I never changed it. It was Daisy Minnick. She was amazing. They used to own DeToe's. Chevrolet years
And
ago.
it was for the flower show?
Yeah,
Flower
yeah,
shop?
it was for when I was at Flowers. It was
Oh,
great.
that's
well,
funny.
back when Google first started, it had to be the flower shop. I'm ancient, by the way, Brett, in that season of life. This has been a fun segment. I've enjoyed all our segments, but this one was, wow, from paper, I was like, okay.
That's mind-blowing,
wow.
right?
Yeah. Well, we're going to head to a break here, and I just want to thank Ascend Chiropractic, Brian and staff out there. Thank you so much for sponsoring this needs and adjustment segment that we do. When you need an adjustment in your business and in your body, so do it before things get out of hand. Total chiropractic care for adults and pediatrics, rehabilitation, acupuncture, cupping, weight loss, list goes on and on. To see their list of services or to schedule an appointment, go online to ascendchiropracticne.com. We also want to thank Lincoln Coin and Bullion. I'm never going to be able to say it. Let's just forget it. Lincoln
And
Coin
James
and
Arthur,
Boiling. I guess they're boiling something.
Yeah, and James Arthur Vineyards.
Yeah, I love James Arthur Vineyards. Their one where they did pairing of wine to fast foods was great.
Yeah, I just listened to that segment again. I'm like,
I died.
Speaks to me.
Yeah, well, you're listening to the 402 Business Insider. Please stay with us until the other side of the break here. I'm Gary Tharnish, Shannon Filing. We're talking with Brett Gulbrandson from Baer Furniture, and we'll have more right after this break.
Stories of local success. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
Thank you for joining the 402 Business Insider. This is our last segment. I know you're going to have to join us next week for more fun with Travis and Gary. This is Shannon Filing, sitting in for Travis today. This segment is sponsored by Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. We are so grateful to have them be the sponsor as we talk about business owner support and representation. That's amazing. So, Brett, this segment about Baer Furniture and the future of what you envision for Baer Furniture. Let's talk about that here while we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to me owning the store, running the store, every decision I make is obviously I am thinking about long term. It does affect long term. Even if you think it's a small decision, it does affect you long term. And my goal is obviously to serve my community going forward for many, many years, and then hopefully someone else takes it over after I want Baer's Furniture to be in York, since Baer's Furniture is the longest existing business in York.
Okay, that's cool.
And I wanted to continue having that title. I don't want it to disappear. We've talked about obviously meeting the customer where they're at, being able to keep improving online access and the websites, and being more flexible with the customer, whether they want to be communicated with text messages, emails, phone calls, sitting with customers in person, just always being nimble and flexible, to service those customers, and being able to find ways to, we talked about direct shipping product, being able to help them track down the product. Maybe they found something online or they see something in social media. I know my wife and I, we love to watch the home makeover shows. And I love when I'm like, oh, that's that chair. That one's made, and I can literally point, and I know that's that chair model, Yeah,
it's just that model.
And customers do the same thing, Maybe they saw, a post on, or a video on TikTok that talked about a certain something, and they bring it in, and to be able to steer or help customers track down what they're looking for.
One thing I'll say about today's show is I'll walk away from our shows and I'll often, ponder about them a little bit and think, what's the one word, one takeaway I have from our guest? And for me today, for you, Brett, you've used a word countless number of times on this show, and it's the word serve. And I think that speaks volumes for your character, your integrity of your business, your care for the community. That is going to serve you well for years and beyond. I think you're on a great trajectory to continue to be a very successful business in York and beyond. I have a quick question. So what is your delivery area? Do you deliver Lincoln?
Yeah, we do deliver to Lincoln.
You do. See, I think that's great. I didn't know that, and I think that's really great to know.
Yep.
Because I'm going to need some more furniture.
Yeah.
So I have to come visit you, and I will.
Yeah,
I love
and
that.
we do make it to Lincoln. We go all the way, west to Grand Island.
Nice.
We really try and meet the customer
Aurora,
where they're at.
all the towns around there for sure.
And even if you're not sure, give us a call. Talk to me,
Yeah.
We can work something out.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if I order a, $110 end table, you may not deliver it. But if I need $25,000, I bet you come to Lincoln.
Yeah. Well, and some of the products I can direct ship to,
Oh, yeah, sure.
So even
Of
if
course.
you're located in Omaha or, there actually might be a product that, I physically don't have to deliver to you. The manufacturer will deliver it to you. Or like our massage chair, that's one of our items that we have in the store.
I can never buy one of those.
Oh, I have one.
Ever. Oh,
Love
no.
it.
How could you even be here? I would never leave my home. I would not. I would read book after book.
But your guests
after book.
will use it. I have guests that come to my house. They're like, "Can I use your massage chair?" Of course you can.
And we missed our invite coming to your house. I hope we get invited again.
Yes,
I didn't know
yes.
you had a massage chair.
Yes.
I mean, I just want to see your house.
Yes.
But you have a massage chair?
We got to put it on the books, 2026.
Dang, that sounds great.
And with the massage chair, I ship them white glove delivery,
so
to the
cool.
customer, no
Sure.
extra cost of the chair. So,
Nice.
even if you're not in Nebraska, but maybe you're listening to this online or something, I can probably even sell you a massage chair.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Speaking of online, so what is your web address if I want to find you online?
Yep, so it's BaersFurnitureYork.com.
And Bears is BAERS.
Correct.
BearsFurnitureYork.com.
Yep,
Okay,
that is
that's good
correct.
to know for people to find you that way. Are you open 7 days a week, 6 days a week?
So
5
we are
days?
open 6 days a week.
Good,
so
you're closed
Monday
Sunday?
through Saturday.
Good for you.
Yeah, we do close on Sunday.
Good for you.
And that will always be. I can't
Yeah, that's
imagine I
awesome.
would ever extend or be open on a Sunday.
But you do have a late night.
Yeah, so Thursday evenings we are open until 9.
That's nice. See, and that's how it used to be. I mean, I'm seasoned. Don't ever use the word old. I'm seasoned. And I remember when I was a kid, everything closed on Sunday. And it was a big deal when all of a sudden it was the talk of, I was maybe 3 or 4, but I remember at gatherings at church or family, there people would be like, did you see that the gas station is now open on Sundays? I mean, that was huge. And now today it's like, now you're shocked if somebody's not open 24/7 and it's a physical fitness place or whatever. But, I would love seeing Sundays being just a day of relaxation for everybody.
Well, and some things that I would say is if you're listening, do look Baer Furniture up. Follow their socials because you will get an extreme insight of what their inventory is real time.
Yeah.
What their team puts together, how you can outfit your whole house seasonally or everything, which is really, really great. And the other thing that's really cool talking about Lincoln Chamber, York Chamber also has an amazing chamber and they do events. So you do a lot of fun shopping events out there
Sure.
that all of the merchants does
Get
like
together.
a sip and shop. Did I call that
so
right? That's super fun.
Probably one of the funnest events that we get to be a part of in the fall. They do it usually in September, kind of towards the end of September. Is they call it the Sip and Stroll. Where all of us businesses get the chance to give out samples of drinks and it's just fun for the participants. They get a walk from business to business and get different samples as they go. But it's just our chance to, meet new people, get people into the store. I've definitely had those people that walk in like, I've never been in here before and I grew up here,
It's so fun.
And it is fun just to have that interaction with the customers and the community during those kind of events.
Well, and that's hard to believe that they've never been in, but you also have communities that new people move in. So
Yes.
it's relevant all the time to
Yeah.
bring new foot traffic in. So
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, Brett.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely.
It's been a lot of
It's
fun.
Brett Gulbrandson from Baer Furniture in York. And Just real quick, we want to thank Complete Family Dermatology for sponsoring the show. They provide comprehensive dermatology care for the entire family, from routine skin checks to more advanced treatments, not just here in Lincoln, but all over Nebraska, Beatrice, York, Blair, Crete, Fremont, Geneva, Hastings, and Nebraska City. Online at CompleteFamilyDermatology.com. You've been listening to the 402 Business Insider. Brett, thanks for coming in again and talking with us today. I'm Gary Tharnish, Shannon Filing, filling in for Travis. Next week, we're going to be talking to Brady Fink of Small Engine Specialist. Also, next Saturday, we're going to have an abbreviated show, so you'll find us on Sunday mornings. Whenever our show's not on Saturday, you can find us on Sunday mornings, 10 to 12 or 10:30 to 12 on Sunday. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.